Hello fellow investors, welcome to NordicFinans, where we help you along your financial journey.
So if that's something you find interesting, please invest in the like button and deposit a subscribe to our channel. My name is Markus.
And I'm Lucas, and today we are talking about how to invest using eToro. And before we dive into it, I'm just gonna tell you quickly what I would recommend eToro for, because eToro has branded itself as a really newbie-friendly platform, and to some extent it is. But there are some things that you have to be aware of, which we will go through in this video. First of all, I would recommend eToro for investing into individual stocks as well as crypto. However, when you want to invest in individual stocks, you have to be aware of and remember that it's quite a small portfolio that they offer, and these companies are mostly like large cap companies, so that's something you need to be aware of. But that is a good thing probably for someone who's new to investing, because it's at least a bit harder to make really big mistakes. Then another thing, it's nice that they offer crypto, but that's something that's maybe less newbie friendly because it's so volatile. So that's also something you have to be aware of. But those are like the two things that I recommend eToro for, that you can use it for crypto and you can use it for some individual stock pickings.
Sounds good, especially the crypto, since it's not something every service offers.
Okay, but so let's get into it. First, you can press the join now button.
Yep. So we're gonna actually set up an account here to show you how it's done, but I think we have the account already. So can I just switch to
so
login?
this is just so you can see. So this is what you're gonna have to fill in. If you want to get started with a fake account before you use an actual account, you're only gonna need an email and a password. If you use a fake account, you're gonna do something that's called paper trading, which we have an entire video on, which we will link now. But for now, we're gonna log into our own fake account, so jump back.
Yep.
Okay, so this is what you're gonna look at when you log into the eToro site, and how to switch between the real and the virtual portfolio is going to be in the upper left corner there.
Yeah, you can see real and the virtual.
So this is quite easy to miss. For now, let's switch to virtual so that we can actually use it, since we don't have any money deposited.
Exactly. Here you can see that we don't have anything, which now indicates that we are in the real account. So we're going to switch. Near it has a small pop-up. There we go.
Yeah, so in order for you to transfer real money to your eToro account, you're gonna have to fill in personal information. Maybe you can just real quickly take up that part so we can just take a super quick look at it, the profile. Okay, so here you see some of the information which you're gonna need to fill in order for you to actually trade with real money on this platform. In addition to this, you're also gonna need to provide a legit version or like a picture of your driver's license or passport. So that's something you need to remember as well.
Yeah.
If you want to use real money on this platform, that's something you're going to have to provide.
Yeah, any legal identification document. Right, now let's go back.
But now let's take a look at the overall site and what you can find here. So on the top left, you're going to have your watch list, and this is the one that's chosen right now. And here you can add companies to your watch list, things you want to get a quick overlook at every single day when you log in. Down from that, you're going to have your own portfolio. You can open that up for now to check what we have in our portfolio. So as you can see, we only have Bitcoin here
currently,
just to show you an example, and we're already like $1,000 on minus with that. But again, virtual money. Under that, you're gonna have the news feed. You can take a quick look at that. So here people can write news, and they can also link to financially related news which they deem important. Under that, you're gonna have the trade markets, right? This one is actually quite good, because here you can find different things such as ETFs, different cryptos, commodities, currencies. So all of that you're gonna find here. Yeah. You can also just search for it in the search bar, of course, but this is just to get an overlook. And then under that, you're going to have the copy trader.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was just about to say, Markus, I've not used eToro before, but I think everyone has heard about this. If you're interested in investing, everyone has seen the ads for like eToro and their copy trader function. That is like one of the most common thing I hear about eToro is the copy trading function, which we have here.
Yeah, and it's definitely an interesting feature. It's not really something I would recommend because, first of all, you don't know these people. Second of all, even if they do really well 1-2 years, there's not really any guarantee for the future, because usually what happens, you might have a really good year, sometimes just based on luck, but it doesn't hold up. And also they just might invest in things that you don't really believe in, so then check with what you feel comfortable. But personally, I wouldn't feel good if I would recommend this feature, but it's maybe something you can try out with your fake or your virtual portfolio first and see how it works for you.
All right. I think this is mainly social stuff, right? The ones that are left, like the eToro Club, Invite Some Friends, Help Guide.
Yeah, but one thing there is that you can withdraw funds.
Yeah.
That's that button, and then deposit funds. And to do that, of course, you need to fill in all of your personal information, so you have to complete the account registration.
Yeah. I guess we could look at it real quick as well, the different options you have with the deposit funds.
Absolutely.
So here you can set the amount you want to deposit. I guess you can change between euro and the Great British Pound. And here you have all the different methods, I'm guessing, that you can transfer money with. And so if we would go to the bank transfer and click continue, it takes us once again to the page where we're going to have to provide all the kind of information. And this would actually put money into our real account, of course, so that we can use that money to invest. But I'm going to go back now.
Now, finally, we're going to take a look at the lower tab. That's going to display your current capital.
Yep.
Like what you have invested in the portfolio. You can see there, right? Yep. Good. So that's quite self-evident. Can you just read what it says there from left to right?
Yeah, it says how much is available, how much is totally allocated right now. Remember, this is a virtual account, so we don't actually have this amount allocated. And we don't have this money either. These are this is paper money, so to speak. Then we have the, negative profit right now. We're not doing too well. And finally, we have the total amount of equity, which we have on this paper account right now.
Yeah, so money allocated just means that that's what we have invested in quotation now, since it's not real money. Then, now, moving on to the traps.
Yeah.
So, this was
anyway.
quite interesting. Yeah, and this is a big warning, so this you want to pay attention to. Let's try and buy NEO, for example.
All right. Oh, sorry. I can click the trade. So if you press the actual button, it just takes you up to the company page where you can, I guess, find some information and as well some other stuff. But let's click trade for now.
Yeah, so this is also how you buy it. You can either find it from your watch list or from trading markets, or you can just search it. Try writing Amazon, for example.
There we have Tesla. I'm gonna pick Tesla. So there we
Tesla
have
is great. Okay, so trade.
Trade.
So here's the first warning. As you can see here, leverage is the X1 down there.
Yeah.
Press that.
Which means that so you can actually set this to different amount of leverage. And it's important to remember that I think for most people you want this to be the X1, which means you are using no leverage.
Because what using leverage means is that you basically borrow money from the platform, money which is not your own, but if you lose it somehow you still have to pay it back. This can actually make you lose more money than you even have, which can be catastrophic. So this is something for advanced traders only. I think they have some checks and
bounds.
What's the expression?
Checks and bounds to make sure that you're not getting into something you're not wanting to, but still this is very good to be aware of that currently, for instance, I am not using leverage. You can see that I have the 4,940, which would get me basically 6 units, and with no leverage, because X1 means I'm just using the equity. This is the total amount of my equity that I'm using to buy up this position. However, if I switch to the X2 instead, first thing you're gonna notice is that it says now a CFD trade, and higher leverage means higher risk, which means that if you would lose now this money, you would have to, you lose your equity, and then you would also lose the money that you have borrowed, because you can now see that the units I am getting is higher than when I had on the X1. I'm getting the double of the amount, but this is just because I'm using leverage to double up this position. You can even switch it to X5, which then would get me these amount of units, but now I also have a lot leveraged here. You can see that the exposure has gone up a lot. This is something you really want to be careful with. And if you are a beginning investor, please keep this as X1 if you're going to buy something. You do not want to lose more than you can even afford to begin with.
Yes, I almost never recommend that you trade with leverage unless you're super advanced and really know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind. Okay, next trap. The sell button, you would think that would sell your shares, right? Turns out it doesn't. Turns out that it actually shorts your shares instead. What that basically means is that you sell shares that you don't even own yet, and then you can buy them back later. So this, if you've seen the movie The Great Short, this is what this is. You sell the shares right now, you borrow them from someone else, you sell them, and then you have to buy them back later and refund them. Yeah,
because as you can see right now, there's a sell and a buy button here. So because I don't have any Tesla stock to begin with, I would want this at buy to set an order and buy some shares. However, when I switch to sell, there is still a set order. This should be blank because I don't have any shares. This should not be, I shouldn't be able to do this. However, as Lucas said, I can place an order still. And now I am exposed. You can see here, sell Tesla ordered. Even though I don't have any shares, this means that I have just shorted the stock. And this can be a great warning if you're not used to this platform and don't know exactly what you're doing. Once again, there must be some checks and balances on the real side when you're using the real money, because that is otherwise a huge trap almost that you should very much be aware of and avoid, because you do not want to play around too much with shorting stocks if you're a beginning investor.
Yeah, we have a full video on what like long and short positions are, so we're gonna link that as well.
Maybe we should move on to the next warning. There's a final one.
Yeah, absolutely. So we already talked a little bit about copy trading, and that is kind of the final warning. This is maybe the least... I don't think this is gonna bite you too bad if you try it out, but it still can. So we wanted to include a warning that don't just believe that because people have done well 1 year. Like, hell, this is my first year and I've done extremely well this year, but it doesn't mean anything because it's been an easy year. So then when things go bad, like they're probably not going to do so well. So just
be aware,
be careful with that.
I would just say that do not mistake copy trader for a substitute to index funds. It's not the same, and it might not be optimized, even though, for instance, this person has done very well. It doesn't mean that it's optimized for you specifically, based on where you are or something like this. So be very careful when selecting these. And I would probably recommend using the virtual account first and see how this works out for you. There's also things to consider like taxes and stuff like that, national, regional differences. So be aware of all this. Do not just mistake this for a better version of an index fund where you earn more, because there's no guarantee that's actually going to happen.
Yes, I think that's very well said.
All right.
Okay, so let us move on to fees, because that's also important.
Yes.
To just have a brief overview of that. So tell us, Markus, since they don't really take any commissions, how does this platform make money?
Yeah,
because you know that, right?
One of the selling points of eToro is, of course, that they do not charge commissions, which is the fee you pay when you buy or sell a stock. You do not pay anything for that, like a specific fee, a set fee. However, you can see here that there is a difference between the buy price, for instance, on Neo, and the sell price. So if you want to buy it, you have to buy it at around this price. If you want to sell it, you're going to sell it at around this price. The difference here between is called a spread. And that is actually what eToro makes money on, because they will actually take the difference between these two prices, and that is mainly how they earn money. We're not going to get too deep into it because it could be a video of its own, but I don't think you need to be too worried about this if you're a beginning investor and you trade low amounts of shares. This only starts getting important when you're trading a large volume and a lot of shares at the same time. Then you want this generally to be very low. There are some other fees as well. For instance, there was a slight inactivity fee, probably some other fees, but they do not seem to be of great importance. The most important thing to consider with fees concerning eToro, I think, is that they do not charge commissions, which is really important for a beginning investor, because a lot of the time it's the commissions that will eat up your profits when buying and selling stocks.
Yeah, so as a small private trader, this is actually great. As usual with these free platforms, I've at least heard that they tend to sort of send the information and link the information to like bigger traders, like more established traders, so that they have sort of a preview of what people are buying and selling at all times, so they kind of sell that information as well. It's not really going to affect you too much.
But perhaps we should now move on to how to actually buy and at least a little bit look at how you can manage a small portfolio.
Yeah, so since we already bought one stock and showed that, we can do that one more time still. But I think the thing we have to look at is also how to sell it, since you can't just press sell, since that shorts the position. So we have to look at how you close your positions as well. But try and buy NEO now here, since it's up there.
So I could either type NEO, or as I'm gonna do now, I could click it here
and then trade.
Yep. One more thing though, which I already figured out, is that you can also add it to your list here. If you want to change the My Watch list, which was up here in the corner, you can actually make a new list with completely customized companies if you add it here and make a new list, for instance. I'm not going to do that now, but it's a very useful feature and certainly something you should consider if you have a select few companies that you really want to watch out for. But now I'm going to pick trade as Lucas wants, and then we get this screen.
So here, one other thing that's also important to notice is that you can actually buy fractional shares, which not all traders allow. For example, DigiRow does not. So that's a good thing, that you can specify quite an exact amount, or like an exact amount of money you want to invest in this company.
All right. Should I set the order?
Yeah.
All right. And now you can see it popped up. Buy NEO order placed at market. What we should mention at this point, though, is that it's a Sunday here when we are recording this video, so there's not going to be any actual trading now. This is just placed a buy order for this stock, and when the markets open on Monday, I presume it would try to buy it at that price, unless the price increases a lot, for instance, when it opens again. But we have just placed a buy order, so that is how you would regularly buy stocks.
So then let's move to the portfolio, and lucky for you, we already bought the Bitcoin, so we can show you how you close that position using Bitcoin.
Exactly.
So
here you
press Bitcoin.
Here you have the old position we bought earlier. We bought some Bitcoin. I'm not going to press it. And now I have it up.
And then
here you can see when I bought the Bitcoin, it was yesterday.
And then the little red X.
There.
And then see, so here's something that I've struggled with in the past, is that if you just press close trade, it's going to close your entire position, but quite often you don't want to sell all of your shares, you maybe want to sell half or something. So there you can see a little box you can tick.
Yep. It says close only part of the trade, which means that I can now instead, if I would have pressed this close trade, it would have sold my entire position, all of my Bitcoins, which is probably, like Lucas said, something I don't want to do all the time. Maybe I just want to sell, for instance, like here it automatically suggests if I would want to sell half of my position instead. So right now I have 16,479. Now it suggests that I would only sell 7,656. So if you only want to sell part, this is what you need to do. You need to close only part of the trade and then switch.
Okay, but let's maybe sell half of it.
Yeah, we're gonna sell half. You can see here that it now we have half the units we had before. We actually decreased our losses a little bit.
Okay, so a few final words still on the mobile app for this application. eToro has a great mobile application. There's only like a few gripes I have with it. Overall, it's really easy to use. You download it, it links basically automatically, at least if you have like signed up with a Google account. You can buy on it, you can sell on it, everything that you would expect. Like the one thing I don't really like is that if you want to watch the trends, the trend lines on the app, it's super unclear and it's like super in-zoomed in a weird way, and it's difficult to like zoom it out so that you get like an overview on the phone. Like you can do it, but it's just clunky. So that's the one thing that I come to think of that I don't really like with it, but overall it's quite a decent app and it does what it's supposed to.
So what we went through today is that we set up an eToro account and we showed you the basic how to deposit some money, set your account up so that you could buy a few shares or Bitcoin, which was one thing we also recommended you could do on this platform, as well as the basic outlines how to check your portfolio and a few warnings as well if you're beginning investors. As for my part, I think eToro is probably pretty fine to start as a beginning investor. I'm not really too fond about the fact that there are a few warnings you should be aware of, but it definitely seems pretty fine, and the no commission is definitely one of its biggest selling points. And maybe copy trading as well. Of course, I like the fact that you can switch between a real and a virtual portfolio, but I definitely hope that they have some checks and bounds to deal with these warnings. And this, for instance, could also be a warning that this is the only way to see if you're on the virtual or the real portfolio, is that this right here is either real or, but of course you get this pop-up. So now we're on the real account and you can see we have nothing. But yeah, that's basically what we have gone through today.
And also, if you have any feedback based on today's video or further questions, please let us know in the comments. Furthermore, if you have a video idea for us in the future, for example, more things on eToro or maybe other trading platforms, please let us know that as well. And with that, I guess all that's left for us to do is wish you guys happy investing.
Happy investing, guys.